Good morning, everyone. Lawrence Fleming here again with another campsite message for you. We were reading in the book of John. I'm going to continue with that. John looked at the world from God's point of view. The other three Gospels are written telling us about the life of Jesus. John looks at Jesus as God and therefore describes everything he talks about. I'm going to read a little bit of the commentary here just to fill you in on that. John identified Jesus as the Word, who was with God and is God and was in the beginning with God. And John highlighted three truths that affirm Jesus' deity. First, Jesus was pre-existent. From the beginning, the Word was, and served as witness to everything that happened as the human story unfolds. Second, Jesus was with God. In fact, is that Jesus stood on equal footing with the Father before creation. This face-to-face peer relationship would have been an important concept for the ancient people. Finally, John clearly stated that Jesus was God. The Greek word specifically equates the Son with the Father, not relegating Jesus to a less prominent place among other gods. And he also affirmed Jesus' humanity. So we have God living amongst us. For those that wish to see God, if you see Jesus, you have. Now, I have no way to explain how this is going to work when we get to heaven and we have the Father and Jesus up there at the same time. I don't know how that's going to work. But somehow it will, because it's God. He can do whatever he wants. As I look around my camping area, I can see bits of nature taking its course. To the right of me where I'm sitting, I'm not in my campsite, I'm a little bit further out to get away from the noise somewhat. I'm seeing a clutch of like half a dozen eggs, broken and eaten. And you can see where something was rutting around in the leaves, these little furrows where they were pushing their nose through it. I don't know what laid the eggs, but my guess is it's an armadillo that was running around. They have that sleek body that can, and that long nose, and they can just kind of go through the leaves. And as I look around, there's trails all through the leaves around here where the armadillo has been going through there. I haven't seen an armadillo in my campsite area. They're out there. I've seen them, but I haven't seen them in my campsite area. So I'm not sure what time they forage, but those eggs look fresh. Wouldn't mind having eggs for breakfast. I've got my banana waiting for me as soon as I get through with this. And I always carry granola bars or some kind of bar with me. I don't cook a lot because it's too much effort. I don't know if I mentioned, but I've been kind of cheating on my food preparation. I went out to get a can of soup out of my car and I was going to heat it up on my little stove. And the can was so hot I could barely hold it. I had to use a t-shirt to hold it to carry it back. I just popped the top and ate it right out of the can. It was hot, ready to go. That's how hot it's been here. Just let the food sit out and it'll cook for you. I imagine on the hottest part of the day that we had last week, I probably could have put an egg in a pan and just set it out in the sun and it would have cooked. But God gave me air conditioning, so I'm good to go with that. And I'm also looking at some items to help improve things for my communication with you. It's not so much for me. I have a couple things I want for myself, but for me to be able to communicate, to upload, I'm going to need a portable satellite. And I've been pricing them. They're about $300, $300 to $400, depending on where you buy them. So I'm looking at that to put it on my budget. So pray for me that if that's God's will, that he will provide the money for me. I'm not asking for it. I'm just saying God needs to provide it. I found many, many times that if I go out and spend something without checking with him, he immediately hits me with a bill equal or close to whatever I just spent. It's like, okay, the money was designated for something else. and I didn't check with you. I'm sorry. And then I struggle through until the next set of money comes in. So I've learned to check with him on anything. It's not my money, it's his money. It's not my food, it's his food. He's letting me use it or share it or whatever I'm doing with it, but it's all his. Everything is his. If you find something on the ground and pick it up, it's his. Now, you may have found it, but it's his, because we're servants. And a servant doesn't own anything. The master owns everything. But we don't have a problem with that because the master gives freely. So if we have a need, and that's the key, if we have a need, God will supply it. And God always answers prayer. Yes, no, or not yet. And the not yet's the hard part. It's like, what are you waiting for? Well, me to mature, me to be kinder, me to learn something, I don't know. Whatever it is, it may just be that if we get something before the right time, we might use it for another purpose. God has everything perfectly planned. Down to if there's an ant crawling across my table, God planned the ant crawling across my table. Now, why would he care about that? I don't know. It's God. He can do what he wants. All right, let's get into John a little bit. I finished talking about John writing about the other John, John the Baptist, because that's kind of how I equate my ministry. I am not worthy to tie the shoes of Jesus, of course. I'm also barely worthy to tie the shoes of John the Baptist. He wouldn't consider us necessarily an equal, but we have an equal opportunity to spread the word and tell people about the upcoming Messiah. He's returning to earth twice. The first time was for us to save us from what's coming. And then at the end, he's going to come down with an army to take charge. He's not coming to wipe everybody out. They've already been wiped out through the tribulation. He's coming down to take charge and to rule for 1,000 years. And his army are armies of workers to help him rule. It's going to be a good number of people still alive on this planet. He's not wiping people out. In fact, he said that if he didn't cut the days short, no one would live. He wants people to live, especially those that know the history of that and can tell it to their generation. It's not until Armageddon at the very, very end, after the millennium, that he's going to come back and conquer Satan. But Satan will be out of the way for the 1,000 years. He'll put him out of commission, which will be good for us. But during that 1,000 years, you're going to see that people are still going to sin. They're still going to need discipline. Jesus is going to rule with an iron fist because man needs it. Until we're changed to be like him, we still have a human nature. And during that 1,000 years without Satan, you're going to see that man can still get into trouble because it's our nature. We just don't have someone egging us along as much. And I'm assuming he's going to take his angels and everybody with him and get them out of the way. It's not just Satan that's going away. But I don't know how well they work without a leader. That's not my job. That's above my pay grade to figure that one out. Okay, continuing on with John, I'm in 1 John 35. Again, the next day, John stood with his 2 disciples, and looking at Jesus as he walked towards him, he said, "Behold the Lamb of God." It's amazing that back then they could say the obvious things, and the people would understand it, but not the leaders. The Lamb of God. I mean, everybody would know that a lamb is the sacrifice, and the sacrifice of God. The 2 disciples heard him speak, and then they began to follow Jesus. Then Jesus turned and, seeing them following, said to them, "What do you seek?" And they said to him, "Rabbi, which is to say that is translated as teacher. So when somebody says they're a rabbi, they're just a teacher. They say to him, Rabbi, where are you staying? And he said to them, come and see. He still likes playing. If you want to know, follow me. They came and saw where he was staying and remained with him that day. And this is about the 10th hour. One of the two heard John speak and followed him. That was Andrew, Simon Peter's brother. He first found his own brother Simon and said to him, we have found the Messiah, or the Christ. And they brought him to Jesus. And when Jesus looked at them, he said, you are Simon the son of Jonah, so you shall be called Cephas, which is translated stone. It is really tough reading the Bible sometimes, getting used to the naming conventions. We've got Christ, Greek, Messiah, Hebrew. Same word, same thing. And then he goes and gives people nicknames, calling Peter Stone, Simon Peter. Okay, well, he is the stone. He is the founding stone for the church. The following day, Jesus wanted to go to Galilee, and he found Philip and said to him, follow me. Now, Philip was from Bethsaida, the city of Andrew and Peter. And Philip found Nathanael and said to him, we have found him whom Moses in the law and also the prophets wrote about, Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph. And Nathan said to him, can anything good come out of Nazareth? I don't know if you know of any little towns around, but you could say, can anything good come out of that little town? Well, the Messiah came out of a little town, so you have to assume yes. Okay, and Nathan said to him, okay, can anything good come out of Nazareth? Philip said to him, come and see. Jesus saw Nathan coming toward them, and he said to them, behold, an Israelite indeed, in whom is no deceit. Nathan said, how do you know me? Jesus answered him and said, before Philip called you, when you were under the fig tree, I saw you. Even as a human down here, Jesus saw everything, knows everything about us, knows everything about us, and he still came and died for us. Amazing. Nathanael answered him and said to him, Rabbi, you are the Son of God. You are the King of Israel. And Jesus said to him, because I said to you, I saw you under a fig tree, do you believe? You will see greater things than these. And he said to them, most assuredly I say to you, hereafter you shall see heaven open and the angels of God descending upon the Son of Man. Okay, he's continuing on, and I really love reading John. There's so much fun stuff in here that we're going to continue on my next reading in John 2, if you want to get ahead of time. Turning water into wine. What party doesn't need a God like that, huh? But it was symbolic, so symbolic. And when we compare the life of Jesus with the Galilean wedding, his first miracle was at a Galilean wedding, turning water into wine. Now, it's not completely the way that it is in the movie, Before the Wrath, but it's close. We're not going straight up in the rapture to a party, to a wedding feast. That would be inappropriate. There's a battle going on. People are going to be dying. It's war going on down here, and all the Christians aren't there yet. So we're not going up there for a feast. That's at the end of it. The feast will be when it's all over, when all the Christians can be gathered together, and we can finally celebrate in peace. That's when the feast is, but not before. But going up to heaven to be with Jesus, that in itself is enough to be joyous about. You don't have to worry about all the other stuff. And what we're going to eat up there, I don't know. I guess we still eat. Jesus ate when he came back. So we're just going to have to wait and see. Do we have our order in yet? I think we can have just about anything we want. All right. As I mentioned in my last video, I'm having to deal with speed issues, and it's not just at this camp. I've had it before, and I've had to sit for 2 or 3 hours outside of the visitor center trying to upload using their Wi-Fi. It's time I join the modern age of telecommunication and get myself a satellite. I once helped design one, so I'm very familiar with how they work. I told you about my time. I worked at TRW Aerospace. We designed a satellite called Milstar. It's a communication satellite. How appropriate to allow all the different groups of the military to talk to each other. Jesus is going to allow everybody to talk. And he provides us a mechanism. The book and our mind. You got to be careful what the mind generates, but the book is pretty good. It's pretty reliable. But our minds, we can sometimes daydream and pick up wrong messages. God is working on me on daydreaming. I like to daydream. And he's telling me to stop doing that, to purge myself of that habit and let him have that. And then they'll just come to me and I won't have to wonder what he's trying to tell me. But I'm taking up that space right now by me daydreaming. So I'm working on it with God. So we can see Jesus was there in the beginning. He was with God. He was God. That's what John tells us. He's not telling us the heritage of his human side. Those are the other Gospels. He's telling us his heritage from a God point of view. And I think that's why John also was able to write Revelation, because he had a godly mindset. You're Jewish, they're all Jewish, but they don't all have the same mindset. It depends on where they went to school. It's the same as us. What denomination you came from, to what baggage or blessings you carry with you comes from where you were taught and who taught you. I've listened to some very prominent, I don't want to say denominations, from a particular denomination speak different from the general populace of their congregation. And they were right. But the general populace is being taught something different. This is going on all around the world. So we just got to be simple with our message right now. Don't get too complicated. If somebody asks you a question about, how many angels does it take to lift an elephant, don't answer them. Tell them, some things you just have to wait and see. Our message is simple. Jesus came down here knowing us fully, died for our sins, so that we would live eternally with him. It's a very simple message. And all we have to do is accept his free gift. Can't work your way to heaven. Can't buy your way. You just have to accept Jesus, and then he will come and get us at the appropriate time. We continue to watch. We continue to wait. And we continue to see the world degrade. We know the path we're on. We just don't know when. If you're suffering, I'm sorry that you're suffering. I pray that you have strength, that maybe whatever you've got can be lifted from you. And if not, that you have the strength to endure it. Those of you that are enduring it are strong. You really are strong because you're enduring something that the rest of us don't. I have had pain. Before my neck was operated on, I had pain. It was enormous, and I had to deal with it. And I prayed daily, and it took a little while, but it's fixed. And now I have no pain in my neck at all. I have 2 discs in my neck fused, but I can't turn all the way, but there's no pain at all. I can live with this. And so keep praying, don't give up, and keep knowing that as you fight your ailment, whatever it is, and it may be sin, it may be something physical, it may be something mental, whatever it is, keep fighting it. God forgives us every time we ask him. If you sin 100 times a day, go back to him and ask him every time. Now, he's going to eventually see a pattern there, and he's going to break the pattern. And you may not like the way he breaks the pattern. It's easier if you do it on your own with the Spirit's help. But God will take care of you all the way. And for those that are missing people that are gone, if they're Christians, be excited for them because they're in a better place. If they're not, learn. Learn that you don't want anybody else that you know to go through that. Okay, I'm going to upload this. I'm going to continue to upload at a lower rate, 720 as opposed to 1080p, just because it's quicker and easier right now. If the quality bothers you, let me know. If you stay to the end and actually see this message, say, "Hi, I saw the end." That way I know you watched all the way through. Some of you do. Some only watch a minute and see this isn't what they want and they go on. I'm not going to give you a date. So if you're here for a date, find somebody else and let them lead you down the rabbit trails of guessing. There are some that spend a lot of time. I like Dr. Barry, but he has guessed a lot. And he's been wrong all the time. But everything else besides the guessing is right on. I like it. Brenda Weltner has a different point of view on some of this. And she's good. I recommend her. And I also, John Samuel Barnett. He's a world-renowned Bible teacher, and he travels around setting up churches. He makes sure that they have the study habits that he has. He is the most, homework enthused person I've ever seen. He keeps a logbook of everything he does during the day. He marks up his Bible. Not as much as Barry, but he does mark up his Bible quite a bit. I do some, but I don't like to mark it up a lot if I'm teaching, because then I end up going back and teaching the same thing. I like to have a different point of view. And you can read the same chapter 5 times and get 5 points of view if you're open to the Spirit. All right, enough of me running on here. God bless until we see each other in the clouds. Have a great day.